All right, everybody, welcome to the LEAC committee. Glad y'all made it here. Hope everybody's keeping warm during the cold snap. Let's go ahead and get the meeting commencing. Please, and I know this is like a broken record, but please make sure that they have your correct email, because we are having a little bit of communication problems, and I'd like to nip in the bud before we end up in a traffic jam with information. Okay? All right, let's call the meeting order.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
All right. So since we don't have quorum, we have a little bit of extra time. I think that it would be really a good idea to start the first meeting of the year with introductions. You know, we have a couple of new or newer faces in the room. We have a guest speaker joining us today, so I think it would be wonderful to start some introductions. So let's go with your name, the area you are located in most often or where you live, and how long you have been a part of this committee, okay? So my name is Victoria Kelly. I'm with the HLA. I live in St. Pete. And I have been rightfully working with this group since inception. So thank you to everybody who's been here for that time too.
Hi, my name is Charmaine Kennedy. I've been here since last year. I live in Clearwater and I live here.
Jack Blickman, and I came last year, and I've been in Clearwater.
Hi, I'm Kat. I'm in the Pinellas Park area. I'm your secretary for the committee currently, and I've been here a little over a year.
I'm Daniel. I live in the Pinellas Park area, and I am a committee member since basically the beginning. Thank you.
My name is Mary Robertson. This is maybe my 5th meeting, which I'm glad that I'm a part of. I have a St. Pete address, but I live in the Pinellas Park area, so they must have made a mistake, or ran out of room on the map or something.
Hello, I'm Noel Wagner. I've been a member of the LEAC also from the beginning, and I'm in the local area, Pinellas Park.
Hi, I'm Jennifer. I live nearby, and I've been a member since maybe a year, close to it.
Hi, my name's Amanda. I'm the first name. I'm from Clearwater, Largo area.
I am Jennifer. Yeah, I'm Jennifer H. I live in the Largo area, Clearwater Largo area. Yeah. And I have been a part of the creating of this since June 13th of 2023.
Well, my name is Mike Creation. Was homeless in the past, and right now I'm on the co-chair for this committee and on the board of directors for the Continuum of Care and on their executive committee.
My name is Gary Small. I'm the co-chair, I'm also on the board of directors, and I've been in this committee about a year. I'd say a year.
My name is Joe. I'm from the Pinellas Park area, and I've been a member for a few months now.
I'm Zach H. I'm Lieutenant with the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office. I've been working with the Homeless Leadership Alliance, formerly the Homeless Leadership Board, for about 11 years.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Gary, is this your 1-year anniversary? Is this your 1-year anniversary with the committee?
Should be yes.
Well, happy anniversary, Gary. That's wonderful. Happy anniversary. Also, Jennifer, June 2023. I can't, when you said it, I knew in my head that that's when we started meeting, but June 2023.
June 13th.
June 13th, 2023. Y'all, since that time, this group has gone through the work group process, the formalizing and becoming a committee process. Got a charter, elected leadership, started participating in collaborative meetings with other groups within the COC to make real impacts on system level policies and procedures. That is wonderful. I think that starting the new year by celebrating the successes that we have had so far is a good way to go. So just thank you to everybody who keeps coming meeting after meeting and keeps listening to me rattle on. So thank you for being here. Thank you for all that you do. I'm really excited. It's a really long time. All right. So Madam Secretary, do we have quorum yet? Sorry, everybody. Megan's not here. Right. We do not. Okay. If anybody else walks in, I have this, so I can cheat. Okay, so we do not yet have quorum. And now the sign-in sheet's gonna make its way around the room, just for anybody who hasn't filled it out yet. So we do not yet have quorum, so let's go ahead and move forward with some of our discussion points. So with that, Lieutenant H, if you are ready. Yes, just the law enforcement perspective. So before Lieutenant H dives in, everybody that was here last month was able to talk to our new interim CEO, Mr. Aaron Swift, ask him questions. He, by the way, does have the questions that were provided afterwards and will be sending me those responses so that Megan can send them to everybody, just so you know. But last month, we had Mr. Swift in here to provide a little bit of a legal update, a legal perspective of the anti-camping law. That anti-camping law is, of course, in effect right now. It went into effect October 1st. As of January 1st, as we know, people within the state of Florida now have the right to sue their local governments for allowing public sleeping. How is this impacting you, me, all of us, our community? That's really the big question. So Lieutenant H is here today to talk a little bit about Pinellas County Sheriff's Office and the law enforcement perspective, and maybe answer a few questions. I will ask everybody, please, only speak if you have the microphone in your hand. As we talk about in every meeting, this is really important for ensuring everybody can hear. And if you are talking without this, not everybody can hear you. So please make sure you are only talking and only asking a question if you have the microphone in your hand, okay? With that being said, Lieutenant H.
So, like I said, my name's Zach H. I'm a lieutenant with the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office. I've been involved in assisting the homeless and working with the HLA for 11 years now. I've been in charge of operations out at Safe Harbor for that entire time. In relation to House Bill 1365, I was just reading through you guys' notes from the last meeting. You guys posed some really great questions to Aaron. Without getting too complex into the law, obviously you guys figured out, and other people have already figured out, that it's pretty vague, right? It leaves a lot of room for officer discretion, and it leaves a lot of room for questions to be asked, where things aren't as exactly as clear as they should. So before this law went into effect, we got together, and when I say we, the sheriff and some county stakeholders and other law enforcement chiefs got together and they said, what can we do to ensure that law enforcement isn't knee-jerk reaction to this new bill and making arrests when we don't need to? How do we help the homeless, not incarcerate the homeless? The whole reason Safe Harbor got started 13 years ago was because the Pinellas County Jail was being used as a homeless shelter. Unfortunately, the reaction that, not the reaction, but the way kind of things were set up back then is that it was really hard to get into other shelters. And I'm not speaking poorly or down on any of the other shelters. We have great relationships with them. But you could only get in Tuesday. You could only get in at 8 o'clock in the morning. You could only get in if you didn't have booze on your breath. You could only get in if you didn't do drugs. Couldn't get in if you didn't have an arrest for this or that. Well, that's a big chunk of the homeless population, unfortunately. So Safe Harbor came about. So what we did is we took what we learned back then when we did this study with the Public Defender's Office and the State Attorney's Office, and we looked at who was going to jail, why was going to jail. So we applied that to this new House bill going into effect. And what we did is we got with the county and we said, look, we need to educate the population that's living out on the street and doesn't want to go into shelter. So what we need to do is we need to get out on the street and we need to take street outreach teams and we need to go out in the community and educate this population to make sure they're not getting arrested. Look, this is what the law says. This is what the law doesn't say. Would you like to go to shelter? We'll get you there immediately. So House Bill 1365 went into effect in October, like Victoria said, but before that, we had street outreach teams collaborating, working together, and out in the field in June. But 2 months before that is when we all started meeting, when this thing started to, was written on paper that it was going into effect. So we started meeting. The chiefs of police, the sheriff, everybody agreed that some of the questions that you guys posed to Aaron, what is overnight camping, right? What time does overnight start? There's no time in the law. I almost swore, sorry. There's no time written in the law, so that becomes hard to enforce, right? We can't say that the park, so if it's written that a park is closed at a certain time, then that would supersede anything else, right? There's already an ordinance, there's already a rule, there's already a law on the books. So it's already, it could already be construed as an offense depending on what city you're in. So House Bill 1365, it's not arrestable. What they have to do is you have to apply existing laws and ordinances in order to take action on it. We don't want to do that, which is why we have the street outreach teams and why we're out there educating the community and doing all these things. So overnight was agreed that once the sun goes down. So there's no time, unless there's a posted time in a park, the overnight time will be sundown. So sundown to sun up. So if the sun is not visible, that would be in violation of House Bill 1365, the way that Pinellas County law enforcement agencies are interpreting this law. As far as the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office, we are not trying to arrest people. There are already laws on the books that basically say everything that House Bill 1365 says. Why did they write it?
We have local ordinances per city, correct?
Per city, per county, per everywhere. There are, everything that is written in House Bill 1365 is pretty much covered under a local county ordinance or a Florida state statute. So, but it is what it is. Hopefully, I know there's some advocacy going on to try to get clarification during the law as the way it's written. But the way we're interpreting it is that we're going to apply I don't want to say 3 strikes, but it's kind of a 3 strikes methodology. So what everybody's going to agree upon, what all the law enforcement agencies agreed upon is that, say it's 12 o'clock at night, and we engage somebody that is visibly sleeping in public. They're on public property, they're at the back of the courthouse, they're at the back of a park or something, or a citizen that wants to sue the city calls in and says, hey, there's homeless people sleeping back here. Law enforcement goes out and says, hey, you're in violation of this, you're technically trespassing on property, would you like to go to Safe Harbor? No, I don't want to go to Safe Harbor. So they say no, I don't want to go to Safe Harbor. That's strike 1, right? I don't want to call it strikes, but it's the easiest analogy we can apply to the situation. The next step would be to say, okay, well, you're in violation of these posted ordinances, you're in violation of House Bill 1365, you're in violation of the posted no trespassing signs. You need to leave the area. No, I'm not leaving. At that 3rd step, that's when an arrest is going to be made. We're not looking to walk up to people that are homeless, that are down on their luck, that are struggling in life with a variety type of things. We're not looking to walk up and put them in handcuffs and drag them to the Pinellas County Jail That is not what the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office is doing. That is not what law enforcement in Pinellas County is looking to achieve out of House Bill 1365. There is not anybody in the county that was involved in writing this law, but it's on the books and now we have to enforce it. Law enforcement can't pick and choose which laws that we enforce, but there is officer discretion. And I saw that came up in the notes that you guys had, and I think Aaron mentioned it, because Aaron and I have had some robust dialogue about it. There are all parts of everybody's job that we don't like, right? There's all things that we don't agree with. But the way it's written, we've got to take some sort of action. So that's why we worked with the 3-step methodology, and all the chiefs of police are going to agree. It's not just you're going to walk up to you and you're going to get arrested. First, we're going to offer you services and shelter. Second, we're going to just ask you to leave the park or wherever, whatever public area. Third would be an enforceable, arrestable situation. But that's not what we want to do.
So the 3-strike terminology is that applied if you've asked me to leave someplace because it's public and I've cooperated, and let's say a few weeks down the road, you run into me someplace else, is that considered my second strike?
No, I would not, okay, I would not confuse that.
Okay,
This is not a situation where we're looking to arrest homeless people. This is a situation where we're looking to enforce the law in the most humane manner possible. And if it means just having people leave because they're not comfortable with going to shelter, they don't want to go to shelter for whatever reason, they don't want to, that's fine, I get it. I've been in charge of Safe Harbor for 11 years, it's not a perfect place,
You
I
gotta Safe
completely
Harbor.
understand. I get it, if I had somewhere else to stay, I would go stay somewhere else. So that doesn't hurt my feelings. With the analogy that with the scenario you're throwing out there, I don't see that being.
okay.
You know, if you're at the same park every night, back to back to back to back, you're
Right,
talking about a different scenario. than
correct,
What you're presenting now.
okay.
I was at Safe Harbor in 2023 in Pinellas CoC. I have a question. If you encounter homeless people that need to move wherever they're located, can they be brought into Safe Harbor after curfew?
Curfew does not apply to people being brought in, needing to get off the street, wanting to get off the street, being brought in by law enforcement, being referred by law enforcement, being referred from basically anywhere. The curfew only applies at Safe Harbor for individuals that are current residents there. And we give you a few chances before we even bother enforcing that thing. So, no, it doesn't apply. Somebody can check into Safe Harbor and get off the street anytime, 24/7.
Also,
You've already got the lights.
where I live, I don't care for the owner of the property, but they put in a sidewalk. So she got irate because then we had to call code enforcement and the sheriff's department because somebody parked their car where the sidewalk ended and the street started, and she kept putting notes on people's cars. She was gonna tow their property, so we had to call code enforcement, the sheriff's department. That's considered public property. So how do the sheriffs know what's public property? So the other side of the sidewalk is private property up to our residences. So how does the sheriff department know, or the, other police officers, what exactly is public property and what's private property?
That is a fantastic question, and it sucks. There's no easy way to. Sometimes property lines are drawn so poorly, surveys are done, the way it is written in the address, God knows where because there's no fence, there's no wood line, there's no nothing. We've got to figure it out. So what we do is we use discretion in that situation. If we know that there's a property owner that is connected to that address, we would contact the property owner. If it's not, if we're concerned whether they might be on public property or private property, we contact the private property owner and let them know that there are individuals. Are you fine with them staying there? Because plenty of them are. There's plenty of places where there's no. There's plenty of places in the county where it's known that homeless individuals and the property owners don't have an issue with it. So there's no enforcement action to take there. We would use discretion in that scenario and contact the property owner if they're right on the dividing line. But if they're clearly marked, but if they're clearly on public property, that's a difference.
It's kind of hard to contact property owners at 1, 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. Isn't it hard for officials, officers to contact property owners at 1, 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah, so we wouldn't take any action. What we would do is we would say, all right, look, you guys might be on private property, we're gonna contact the property owner, and we're gonna let them know what's going on. If they want you to remove, they want you to leave, we're gonna come back when we get word back. If we never hear back from the property owner,
I wanted to, go back to the 3 strikes and add on to what Kat was saying. At like, the first time that, you know, she gets caught or somebody gets caught in an area. If they, you know, they get caught and they cooperate and they leave. And then, like she had said, if, you know, a few weeks down the road, they get caught at the same place or somewhere else, you said that's a start over, like a first strike. So then, you know, and then they leave. And a couple of weeks later, they get caught again in the same place, like, so where does that?
so I get your question and I'm gonna run
Different
through it.
places, never the
It's-
same place.
It's never the same place, but one caveat to that, because you brought up a different point to the scenario, is that if you are on a area where there is posted no trespassing, so you're already been educated that there is no trespassing on that area, somebody has taken the time to post that area, it is no trespassing. If during that engagement, when you're first asked to leave, and you do, but because you're on public property, the law enforcement officer that's involved trespasses you, issues you a trespass warning from that property. It says, hey, we have trespass authorization from CSX Railroad. You can't be on the railroad. You can't come back. If you do, you're subject to arrest in this area. If they trespass you and then they find you again at that location, that's a different scenario. You've already been warned. You've already been issued the trespass warning. There is a high likelihood that you could be arrested for that offense. That's regardless of this House bill. Does that make sense? Okay.
Just want to add one more thing to that, what she's saying. What if the place does not have no trespassing signs? Then what?
So then if the officer issues one at that point, so if there's no trespass, so if we're on public property, right? After the sun goes down, well, I'm gonna try to speak it in the realm of this law. So if you're on public property that is not posted, after the sun goes down, and you're technically in violation of House Bill 1365, but there's no posted no trespassing signs, then that's when the officer could issue you the trespass from the property.
But if it's considered private property and there's no trespassing?
Then House Bill 1365 does not apply. It only applies to public land.
And then one more question about safe harbor. Do they allow, depending on the service animal, whether it's ESA or a service animal, do they accept either one now?
So we accept service animals, as long as it is required because of a disability and it's trained to do something. That's what safe harbor allows.
So they don't recognize if someone has an emotional support animal? If there is.
Safe harbor and the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office follows the Americans with Disabilities Act guidelines on service animals.
That is also recognized under that too as well.
So the service animals aren't recognized under the ADA.
Okay, thank you.
So again, just to reiterate, I assure you that law enforcement in the county, there are a variety of law enforcement agencies, St. Pete Police, Pinellas Park, Largo, Pinellas County Sheriff's Office, and somebody else, Gulfport, Treasure Island, all of them have street outreach teams. That tells you how much effort is going to be put in, that tells you how much effort is going into making sure that the population that we're talking about is educated and not enforcement. We want to educate, we want people to do the right thing. We don't want to make arrests on this. It is not the right thing. At the end of the day, the sheriff always sums things up with, it's not the right thing to do. That's why Safe Harbor was open, because arresting the homeless population for violating a variety of different ordinances that were written a long time ago was not the intent of what the county jail was being used for. So Safe Harbor opened up to make sure that the homeless had somewhere to go when they could, when law enforcement was getting tasked with solving a social service problem. Homeless individuals need social service interventions and assistance, not criminalization. Yeah.
I have a question.
We'll share.
There are lots of these bus shelters and so on throughout the county. If somebody, and I know happens to be sitting in there overnight or whatever it is, would that be considered overnight sleeping?
Fantastic question that has not been clarified by anybody's general counsel as far as I know yet. So PST is, Ross isn't here. Ross from PSTA is a huge homeless advocate, assistant to the homeless population. PSTA bus shelters, we interpret as being public property. Other law enforcement agencies do not interpret them as being public property. There's confusion on it. But what I will tell you is that PSTA has given trespass authorization for all public bus stops to every law enforcement agency in the county. So regardless of House Bill 1365, if you are at a bus stop, once the buses stop running, or you're using the bus stop for nefarious purposes, or you appear to be camping, sleeping, living at the bus stop, regardless of House Bill 1365, you could be subject to trespass from the bus stop.
They even have signs posted in the bus stop area.
Yeah, a lot of the bus stop areas have those signs posted.
I got it. Sit down. You're walking better, but.
I know, look at me go.
So let's say you roll by and you offer to get me into Safe Harbor, and I say, yes, please. How long can I stay? And after my stay, let's say they run across me again, how long before I can go back?
Cool. Okay. You remember the old Motel 6 commercials? Tom Bodette will leave the light on for you. Okay. So as long as people don't beat up staff, as long as they don't put their hands on staff, and as long as people don't deal drugs, I will always give them another second, third, 78th chance. You beat up staff, I'm not letting you come back. You deal drugs on site, I'm not letting you come back. Beyond that, you can always come back. Time frame wise, in between, we don't really have, it's.
So if I go there and I say, okay, guys, I need 90 days, I have something I need to do, it's a big financial commitment, I just need to be someplace to help get it together. Good?
And you're homeless, looking for assistance to get off the street, we will connect you to case management, we will offer you everything under the sun, so that hopefully you don't have to make those payments to whatever this big financial burden is. We will try to come up with some sort of alternative option. We'll do everything we can. I don't want people to stay there for 90 days unless they absolutely have to. Let's find something better in the meantime.
It's a money thing.
I get it.
I just want to add in, I've told people this before, one of the best ways to get connected to services, if you want a case manager, and tell everybody you know, if you want a case manager, just spend a couple of nights at Safe Harbor and be really on top of it. Make sure that you are connected to that case manager. That's how it happens.
I was at Pinellas CoC first and bounced around for a week and a half and went to Safe Harbor. My experience with like Pinellas CoC, well, I won't say, can't really say too much positive, but I noticed that my caseworker who was fired said that if Pinellas CoC puts a bad mark on your name, you can't get into other shelters, or vice versa. Is that true?
I will tell you, I've been there for 11 years. I could care less what other agencies put into the HMIS notes about what happened with you at there. Every situation is just that. It's a situation. You could be having the worst day of your life at a different shelter. Life could fall to hell. You get the worst information in your life and you act out and you cause a disturbance because you're having the worst day of your life. I'm not going to let that prevent you from coming into Safe Harbor. I can't tell you what other shelters are going to do, but I can tell you that yeah, we can see what happened. I don't care. What you do somewhere else has no bearing on what happens.
So I wonder if there's, I need to go to law school. I wonder if there are.
You seem nice, don't do that. I said, you seem nice, don't do that.
My father-in-law was a Jewish Miami corporate attorney and with the name of ISIS. So I wonder if there's a law against a place such as Pinellas CoC for putting a bad mark on somebody's name. It didn't happen to me, but it happened to numerous people, and I still keep in contact with a lot of people that I met at Pinellas CoC or St. Harbor or down there at St. Vincent de Paul. So I wonder if there's a law against them doing that.
The HMI, the system has regulations and policies and procedures in place to try to prevent stuff like that. As far as the law.
Well, what I witnessed, a lot of unethical, horrible stuff, but thank you.
I have a question. So every time you guys interact with a homeless person on the street, how do you log it? Is it like, do you put it in the notes and they can see how many times and who they've had interaction with, and are they penalized for it? Do they prejudge on it, or how does that work?
Cool question. Okay, so if it is law enforcement interacting with a homeless individual, then it depends on the scenario. It depends on the engagement. It depends on if the person wants to give them their name, right? If they don't give them their name, there's nothing to write a report about, right? If they're not subject to arrest for anything, if they don't believe that there's drugs or weapons on them, and they don't give their name, there's no report to write, right? Because there's no name. If it is our street outreach social workers, all we do is log in HMIS if the individual will allow us, if they give us verbal or written consent that we can track information about that. Then we'll put a note in there that Johnny was at the Wawa on 54th Avenue. I talked to him about getting services and getting into Safe Harbor. He doesn't want to right now, but I told him I'd come back and meet him again next Monday. And that's how it's coded. Does that answer your question?
Kind of.
Okay.
So I have like two questions. First, I'll start with the Safe Harbor. I was there August of 2021, and you brought up, letting people come back in as long as they don't beat up your officers and they aren't dealing drugs. How do you hold your officers accountable for how they treat the people coming there?
That's a great question. I don't put up with it. If I know that there is anything, if it's a situation where we can educate them about how they should interact with people, then we educate them. If it's a situation where they're not appropriate to work there, then it's a situation where they're not appropriate to work there. And I'm not adverse to going down either road.
Yeah, because I experienced and was like triggered. We talked before, and I was intimidated to go back there to even, bring up the situation since it's being, run by the sheriff's department. And hearing from other people since then that it's not changed. So this isn't a question. I would recommend that all the employees read rule number 5 that's outside the gate. Talks about each person that comes there. I don't know how.
Oh, the respect rule.
There you go. There you go. And so, yeah, I would recommend that and empathy training, because you don't know why people are drinking and are drugging, and a lot of people that work there probably couldn't handle the things that people have been through. And so I'll leave it at that. And then my second one, real quick, was you had mentioned the law enforcement as far as the ordinance and what the time frame is. Which law enforcement agencies are following the sun up to sundown?
All of them.
All of them. So Largo, Tarpon Springs.
The state one. State
Well, it's a state-run rule, but there's no,
There,
that sun up to sundown thing is not clarified in the House bill. That was something that all the law enforcement agencies in Pinellas County agreed on.
okay, so all, okay, I just want to verify that.
Let me ask for clarification. You said that as long as you don't put your hands on staff, what if they had an argument with the staff about something going on and they just say, oh, no, I'm out of here? Are they allowed to come back?
Absolutely. I argue with the staff. Yeah, absolutely. And people have bad days. And people have more bad days when they're homeless. And people have more bad days when they drink. People have more bad days when they're dealing with mental health stuff. I got it.
I spoke with a gentleman that I could not get to go back there. And there was he got in an argument. He said the BS word and they were gonna put him out in pod 6. So he just signed himself out. Would he be able to return?
Absolutely.
Yeah, but there was no physical contact.
Yeah.
Okay. Just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
You really have to work to not be allowed back. That's it. You really have to
mess
try.
up
You
bad.
have to try.
Right. Okay, fair enough.
Hold on a second. I do have to ask, I really appreciate all of this. Thank you, Lieutenant Page, for these questions. But I am going to ask that if, with a few more questions, we have time for a few more questions. Lieutenant Page started early today. Let's keep them related to the anti-camping bill and not safe harbor, please. There's a lot to talk about, and maybe there's another opportunity to talk about that. But for right now, and for the purpose of this conversation, we have 3 more questions. Can they all be about the anti-camping law? Sure. Thank you very much.
This was one of my questions to, I guess, from last month, so I'm gonna ask you the same question. In the bill that, or the law that was provided on, or whatever, went into effect on October 1st, it states that if the shelters are overflow, there's supposed to be a piece of land that is supposed to be operable, just like a shelter. What happened to that land?
So, when you do your research on House Bill 1365, you find out that there's basically pennies attached to it. There is not a great deal of money attached to everything that they said, that the state says that the counties and the cities have to do.
Right.
So without any funding would have to come from somewhere else. So another program would have to be cut to do that. But in the meantime, what happens is every Friday is the staff of the HLA that works in the HMIS department sends out a update on how much bed space availability there is at each shelter. So it shows that there's 5 beds available at HEP. There's, 70 beds available at Safe Harbor. There's 2 beds available at St. Vinny's. There's 9 beds available at Pinellas CoC. So Street Outreach knows how many beds are available. And as long as we're not in danger of going out of available beds, I don't see the county creating that open air field thing that kind of is what is inferred to in the House.
Which I understand what you're saying. However, it is a law that it should be provided. Now, what if the beds are not available? Then what is going to happen to us if there are no beds available?
So we would not make an arrest in that situation. I guarantee that. If it came to the point where, so let me back up. I know we didn't want to talk about Safe Harbor, but I would guarantee that there is always a bed available for law enforcement at Safe Harbor. I'll hold other beds available so that law enforcement has always got the availability to bring somebody with them. So it's a situation where somebody is in danger of going to jail. We will always say yes to law enforcement. I'll make a spot somewhere else. I'll put you in the hallway. I will make it happen so that you don't have to go to jail. But the officer would use their appropriate discretion in that situation. We would not make an arrest if there was no availability in a shelter.
Because my priority is right here.
I got that from your last question. I understand.
Okay.
Okay.
Anyone else? All right. Well, thank you very much, Lieutenant Page, for coming and for talking to us about this new anti-camping law. Really appreciate that. Gary, do you want to close us out with this conversation? Close out the conversation.
Does anybody have any lingering questions or thoughts involving the anti-camping law? Be a very good time.
Again, when it comes to the, supplying a place, the safe, place for when all the shelters are full. So you basically just like leave the person, like, say all the shelters are full and you find, some people that are sleeping on public property or whatever, you said you would not arrest them, correct? So where does the funding, like, how can we get towards more funding so that can? And then also to more, again, I hate to say it and go back to the safe harbor, but, safe harbor would be more full if people were treated better. And the, officers didn't try to, trigger the people that are coming in there.
So as far as the funding coming from the state, all of that funding would have to come through the state, down to the county, either through the county or through the HOA to be dispersed into how they see fit. As far as money coming from Washington, there's no money coming from Washington, from HUD to fund emergency shelter. All those emergency shelter beds are funded through local dollars and through HLA funds. As far as making sure that there's a bed available, I don't want to come to the point where City Farm is full. I don't want to come to the point where any of that has to happen. I don't think we're near that. So that is a concern for other people that are monitoring that, and that's why we have that weekly list that's being put out, and that their staff is monitoring it to make sure that we're not in danger of that. Obviously, if we're in danger of that, and we got 1,000 people that want to get off the street rapidly, and we only got 150 beds available, that's a problem, and something else is going to have to be done. But as it stands right now, there's a great deal of people that don't want to get off the street.
So I want to, reiterate the treatment, and Safe Harbor will not ever be full because of the way people get treated there.
Staying on the wall. Thank you.
All right, if I may add, Lieutenant did say that if he needed to, they would find a place where you keep you from going to jail. So the thing about funding is, they'll find a place to keep you out of jail. They will, open up some place, they'll put you in the hallway if they have to. So that question is already, covered as far as that goes. But, and they do make great strides to keep, that from occurring. So as far as the funding goes, that's a congressional thing that, but still, I mean.
As far as the law goes. As far as the law goes.
So as far as the law goes, and I completely lost my thought, we'll come back in a second. As far as the law goes, when the law enforcement in Pinellas County do come upon people that are homeless or unhoused, that is one of the reasons, or, that's a lot of the reason why somebody would say, no, I don't want to go there. So, as far as the law goes, and why they turn down shelter.
Jennifer, I can assure you, we are always trying to get better. I promise.
That's Amanda, did you have our last question? Okay, all right, awesome. Well, thank you very much, Lieutenant Hayes. Really sincerely appreciate it. Was there one more? Sorry, Charmaine. Charmaine is our last question of the evening for anti-camping.
Jennifer hit on it, just like you said, like, I've never been to Safe Harbor, so I don't know anything about that, and I've heard no good stories about it. But if the staff, what steps are being taken for the people that work there to have? Okay,
Thank you.
well, sorry about that. I'm used to being at turning point where the staff is held accountable if you are out of place.
You could all get Thank you. All right, everybody. These are important conversations, but we've talked about it before. There are a lot of important conversations to have, and if we don't stay on topic, we'll end up having 20 important conversations at the same time, which means we aren't actually having an effective conversation. So on that note, we can absolutely continue conversations about shelter standards. That's actually a thing that the CoC is going to start. We have emergency shelter standards within the Pinellas Continuum of Care. We have street outreach written standards within the Pinellas Continuum of Care. Gary and Mike know, Lieutenant Page knows, they've been participating in these street outreach meetings where we are working on updating those written standards. We are also going to be in 2025 working on updating the shelter standards. And I have a feeling that'll be something that this committee will be asked to participate in and weigh in on. So those are important conversations. I'm not cutting anybody off because they're not important. They're just agenda items for a different day. So thank you very much. And thank you very much, Lieutenant Page, for joining us. Really appreciate having you here. Now give it up. All right, so we are a little bit behind on some of our other stuff, but I think that's okay because we've gone through some really important things. We lost Madam Secretary. I turned my head, it's like disappearing. That was a miracle. Okay, so in that case, then I guess if everybody's comfortable, we can move forward with the consent agenda. And if Pat is not here, I will ask one of our co-chairs to go ahead and ask if everybody's had a chance to review the consent agenda and call for a motion to approve.
No, it's okay. It seems to like me now. She's an affectionate daughter. Yeah.
Now, next item, we have, yes, the consent agenda to go through it, and I'd like to know if everybody approves of the consent agenda as is in the form. So, do we have a second to approve the consent agenda for one second?
Leah first.
Any vote? It is approved.
Great. Does anybody opposed or want to abstain from that? Everybody say aye. Everybody approves the consent agenda? Anybody opposed? Anybody want to abstain, which means you do not want to say yay or nay, you just want to remain neutral. All right, so the consent agenda passes unanimously. Wonderful. All right. Hold on, I gotta get my things. Hard to, I'm gonna go to this one so it doesn't open a new window. All right. So first, let's talk about the CoC membership application. So what does it take to be a member of the Lived Experience Advisory Committee in 2025? Let's start with what it took in 2024. In 2024, members were asked to attend a meeting and become a member of the Pinellas Continuum of Care. As everybody should know, membership in the Pinellas Continuum of Care is free for anybody who has experienced homelessness within the last 7 years. So anybody who is in Pinellas County can join CoC for free if they've experienced homelessness within the last 7 years. But we realized that kind of limited some folks. So we started membership scholarships. For individuals who aren't within that, have experienced homelessness within 7 years, let's say you experienced homelessness 8 years ago or never at all, the membership fee for you as an individual would be $20. But there's a little box on the membership application which asks if you would like to apply for a membership scholarship. As a lived experience member, you don't have to do this because it doesn't cost you anything to join anyway. But if you are an individual member who does not meet that threshold of having experienced homelessness within the last 7 years, all you have to do is say, yes, I would like to apply for a scholarship, and you're approved. I'm gonna ask for absolutely no documentation. You just have to request it and you're approved. These fees, by the way, that $20, that's how we get the stipends for this meeting, just so everybody knows. That's really what these membership fees go towards, is making sure that we have the water and the stipends and things like that for this meeting here. So this is step 1 or step 2, I guess. You could call step 1 joining the COC, or you could call step 1 attending this meeting here. So step 1, join the COC. Step 2, or step 1, I don't really care which order you do it in. Attend a lived experience meeting. Here you all are, you attended a meeting. If you attended a meeting last year, you don't have to attend another meeting in January and apply in February. That's not how it works. But let's say Lieutenant Page was joining us and he was going to be a member of the Lived Experience Advisory Committee. That is not on his to-do list, but let's use him as an example. Because he attended the meeting today, he could then apply to join this committee for the next meeting. So he could apply to become a member in February. So everybody is asked to attend 1 meeting and to become a member of the COC. Now, that was what we required last year as well. That's not new. What's new is this membership application. Everybody has a copy of this membership application printed out in front of you. And I'm sorry that the agenda is not stapled today. I'll be honest, we just had a little printer issue and Megan didn't have time to staple all of them together. So, but there it is. So everybody has a copy of this in paper. This is also available online, so you do not have to use paper to submit this. You can go to second. This website here, and it is included in the packet so that you can fill this form out digitally, so that you don't have to fill it out. So you don't have to fill it out in writing. You can fill it out here online as well. Other than the fact that I'll have to data entry your paper surveys, so for me, I guess it's minorly easier if you do it online. It really does not matter to me. Whatever works best for you is what I want you to do. So if you need the digital survey, it's there. If you need the paper survey, it's there. If you're doing the paper survey, I would just ask that you give it to me, to Megan, or to one of our leaders here in the group. So you could, for instance, we're going to do elections, but for right now, you could give the application to Secretary Kat or to co-chairs Mike or Gary. And we would go ahead and make sure that they are full, that they have all of the required information. Kat will review it, make sure that it looks good. And then for our next meeting, we will bring it here to this meeting and the entire group can review and approve. Per our charter, which is a vote that we made mid last year, we are capped at 15 or 20 members? 20 members, thank you. We are capped at 20 members per our charter. So I ask every member of the Lived Experience Committee to keep that in mind when we are reviewing and approving applications. Some of the things that were identified as priorities for this group when we first started meeting, of course, priorities can change, and that's why we need to have reviews of charters and processes and policies. But one of the things that was identified as a priority for this group in the very beginning was ensuring a diverse, robust membership. This will be a part of that. And this will be a part of everybody in this room and everybody in this membership ensuring that we have that robust, diverse membership. So now that you have it, everybody reviewed the application last time around, made comments on it. We went ahead and made all of those changes. So you have the updated, finalized version in front of you. Does anybody have any questions about this process?
Any questions?
Yes.
Yeah, I have several about this application. Number 1 is on page 12. there's a big correction needed. It says on consent to attending at least 50% of LEAC meet Tuesday. It's Thursday, not Tuesday, for one thing. Can you see that?
That's really funny.
It's on page 12.
Oh, I wonder if this was on. No, I got nothing for that. That's really funny. Yep.
Yep.
That needs fixed.
It says Tuesday, it's actually Thursdays.
It sure is.
It needs a correction. The other thing is on the same page, it says commit to attending at least 50%. Well, according to the charter, it says you can't meet more than 25% of the meetings. There's a discrepancy in that,
There is.
right?
Okay, there we go. I just turned it back on. Okay. Let's see what I'm looking at. I mean, I don't have the charter in front of me, so I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna agree with you. And I'm gonna tell you, we'll make that change.
Okay.
Yeah.
Write it down.
Yeah.
By the way, this is exactly, I told Megan the other day, this is why multiple eyes are good. I can look at something, you know how you can look at something 20 times, and as soon as somebody comes over and they're like, you missed that spot. Okay, so 25%,
Yes.
not 50%. Yeah, got that one in there. We originally did Tuesdays, right? Yeah. I gotta be honest, I have the hardest time letting go of those Tuesdays. I like it. Okay, so other than those notes, which we're gonna go ahead and change that. Other than those notes, does anybody have any questions about the process to become a member of this committee? Or why we're doing this?
For the COC membership, if I'm already like a lived experience committee member, can you go back to that page? Yeah, I guess the COC membership. Okay, so it's, and then it says membership type. Okay, lived experience. So I would click on lived experience and then you can click back off. So I would say, no, I don't want to sign up for
You would not want the scholarship.
I would not want to apply for a scholarship. Is that correct? Okay,
If you have lived experience.
okay.
So you qualify for premium.
What it's worth though, if you mistakenly, plenty of people with lived experience memberships have checked that box. It's okay, I just, yeah, in my spreadsheet, I just changed the check to a no because it's not required, so, yeah. Honestly, this really only matters if you have a paid membership and don't want to pay for the membership. If you have a lived experience membership, you can check it or not check it, totally up to you. You're not gonna be charged either way. Great question. Norm, did you have another question?
Yeah. Is that what you were talking about, the scholarship question? That doesn't just apply to the last 7 years, does it? But,
You don't know.
depending on what other experience or you've had with that.
Nope. The people with lived experience who have experienced homelessness within the last 7 years are already have an automatic scholarship. There's no charge.
Yeah.
If you have another membership, that's when you would want to apply for the scholarship. But even if you're a lived experience member, you're welcome to apply for a scholarship. It's just not saving you any money because you're not being charged anything anyway.
Oh, okay. I understand. The last statement, applications will be reviewed by the HLA and LEAC secretary. Now, that isn't clear. What is reviewed? What is the HLA? What is it about specific committees or what? This
That's me.
statement here doesn't clarify, oh, it's you.
Megan and I are
Oh,
the
you
HLA.
are the.
Megan and I are the HLA in the Celtics.
Now I understand.
So in all honesty, I'm pointing to me, but in all honesty, Megan's gonna be the one who reviews it first. And Megan's going to, I'm not going on the right one, hold on. Megan is going to make sure when she's going through this, that your answers are filled in. And that if there's something that's missing, she reaches out and says, hey, Norm, instead of why do you want to serve on LEAC, you actually just wrote chicken, chicken, chicken. And I'm wondering, did you mean to write chicken, 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 or did you want to put something in here? And so that's what the HLA's portion of that.
Okay. I have one other point to make, and that is there's a discrepancy on the first statement, on that first page one, page 7. It says applicants must be members of the Pinellas CoC who have renewed their membership for 2025 between January 1st and December 31st. In another place, it says by January 31st, not December 31st, 2025.
Yeah, so those are two separate things. Those are two separate things. Those are two separate things you're looking at. So the requirement for the CoC membership, every CoC member is required to renew their membership in the calendar year. Everybody in this room who is a member of this committee and was a member of this committee in December joined the CoC last year. That means you are due to renew. So go ahead, mark it in your calendars, you're due to renew already. This is your reminder. Okay, that is the by December 31st to be a committee member. However, if you would like to be considered for leadership today, nobody has submitted one of these membership applications. But what we're going to do is we're going to do a good faith election, because we're going to do a good faith election with current members. And unless the group decides, because we are running out of time, that we would like to defer to February, that would be a reasonable thing at this point, I think. But the idea of that was that we could have a good faith election so that if somebody was elected today, they would be elected under the proviso that they went online and, or did the paper application and completed this by January 31st. So the January 31st deadline was really only for leadership that was going to be elected today. For committee members, you must join or renew your membership in the CoC and this committee during the calendar year. Now I'm saying that, but in order to be considered for a member of this committee in 2025, you first have to complete this application here. So really, if you want to be a member, if you want to be eligible for stipends, if you want to vote in this committee, you must complete this application and you must complete the lived experience application. Okay, there are two separate applications, and that is what most of our committees do. For instance, the Providers Council, they have an application. The Funders Council, they have an application. So we're just standardizing a little bit. Oh, Norm, can you pass down? Norm, can you, thank you.
So when we renew our member, does that mean we're automatically renewed, or does it have to be approved as well?
There is an approval process, but you're automatically good as far as I'm concerned for this committee. I'm totally, can you pass down? Same steps.
I was already told that I didn't have to fill out an application for anything, so I'm totally confused.
Well, that was in 2024, but this is a new year.
Okay, I was having problems with my phone. I don't have a computer at home and I don't do the Zoom. Anyways, what did you want me to fill out? I thought this was just for the LEAC.
That paper application in front of you is the committee application. There is also the CoC membership application, which I stood here and helped you complete last year. So if you can't do that on your own, the answer there would be I can stand here and have you do it again this year.
So I have to fill out 2 applications.
Yes.
This one would take a little while as far as how many times have I been homeless and where. I couldn't just sit here tonight and do it.
They don't want you to write a book, just generalize it, please. Answer the question.
As to what he was talking about, do we have to do that today? Like, okay, I didn't think so. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'm not expecting anybody to pass this into me today. You are welcome to, but what I think is probably gonna be more realistic is that some of these online ones will start filtering in, and Kat and Mike and Gary will start collecting some paper ones. I think that that is probably the most realistic outcome. But yes, everybody, every year for this committee, at least until we decide we want to change up the process, but every year right now, at least for this committee, and for a lot of other committees within the COC and outside of the COC, everybody will have to complete the membership application for the overall group and for this smaller committee here. Any other questions, comments, or concerns?
That's the question.
One and then two.
Okay, I've already renewed my COC membership in time, actually, but I'm still going to submit an application for this committee to be approved to remain on this committee.
And that's paper only, right?
Nope, that's online as well. You can do either paper or you can do online. There's a shortened website for it. I think Megan put it in the packet, but if not, I'll send it to you because I don't expect anybody to remember that website up there. But it is also available in the meeting packet, and we'll make sure, if the shortened, you know what, regardless, we're gonna update the dates and stuff, so we'll make sure that we send out the link as well then too. So it's in the packet, it's available for you right now. You are welcome to fill out the paper survey, or the paper applications you have in front of you now, or you are welcome to fill out this one online. Oh, hold on a second, we had another question, John, then I'll come to you.
Sorry, thank you so much. I was gonna ask you, why don't you just put a QR code, simplify the process? Doesn't everybody have a smartphone here?
Yeah.
That'd be a whole lot easier than writing. It will also save you
Some
trouble.
folks need paper, but I like the QR code. That's
QR
good
code,
idea.
like, you know,
Yeah.
it's on the website.
Yeah.
They can-
Yeah.
My phone out there is smart.
I like that idea. We do need the paper applications for folks that don't have access to that, but I like the idea of using a QR code so that folks don't need to go digging for it. So that's a good addition. One and then two.
So where is, you said, that link was included in the agenda?
Yes,
Is
so
that the,
it's right here. If you go, I'm gonna yell, oh, it's right here, not me. Okay, if you go to the agenda and you look at the very, very first page, right here is the second one.
online?
Yep, and that'll lead you to the online one.
Okay.
But, like I said, we'll make sure that we, send that back out to everybody as well. Change Tuesday first. And send that back out.
And I think, yeah, link would be preferred.
Yeah.
Versus the QR code.
But we can do both. Having a QR code on a paper application won't take up anything but blank space. Bye.
It appears to have 3 of the 6.
Yeah, I mean, you might have sat down in front of 3 of them. You don't need 3.
Is this the application now?
It's all in the meeting packet, so the application is in here. So that's the consent agenda. And the application's right there.
Okay, I know I'm slow, but I knew I wasn't that slow.
No, you're good. You had a really confusing number of agendas in front of you.
Yeah,
That's understandable. Okay. All right. Questions, comments, concerns? Okay.
There's the link right there.
Is the link written there?
Yeah.
I thought that I had put it in the packet. Yeah, okay.
On the last page.
Oh, that is a different thing.
I mean, it says join LEAC.
Oh, yeah, that'll be, I think probably that'll take you to the COC membership application. So that one will take you right there, because that's step 1.
Everybody who got the email for the agenda has this.
Yes.
They have both links.
And also, even if you didn't get the email, again, we'll make sure that we send it out anyway. But even if you didn't get the email, like Jennifer was talking about earlier, you can always go to our website and write on our calendar, which is right there. And you just go down to the meeting date. And there we are. And our agenda is always posted here. So you can, if you aren't attending a meeting, you can always go online, see the agenda, see the minutes from the last meeting. We try to be as transparent as possible. On that note, if there's ever something that you want to talk about privately in this committee, we do need to really prepare for that because as I've just pointed out, this is all public record, we're recording and stuff like that. So if we need to have like closed door conversations, that's just something that we need to plan for.
Speaking of the meetings, I saw that you can Zoom the meetings or something like, not that I'm going to, but I was just wanting to know, is that considered that you're actually still here or absence, or how does that apply?
That only applies for your attendance if you have prior approval from the HLA or committee leadership. So for instance, if you're homesick and you can't come to the meeting, this is a great way to still attend. If you reached out to me, or I'll use Carrie as an example, and said, like, I'm sick as a dog in bed right now and I just can't come, we would say, understood, do you want to join on Zoom? And you could go ahead and you could Zoom in. Participating that way is really tough.
Yeah.
But at the very least, you can sit in and watch the meeting and stuff. And if you have that pre-approval, it will count towards your number of meetings that you've attended.
Oh, thank you.
Of course. Wait, go back. Take some steps.
I'm too short, sorry.
Thank you.
And remember, we have to provide a link for you to join the meeting, so please try to do it as early as possible rather than wait till the last minute and say, oh, I need to do this virtually. Give us enough time to set that up for you, please.
Yeah, because I'll say, for instance, I have Zoom open right now because that's how I'm recording, but we did not have a Zoom link for this meeting. I just
So
opened Zoom. So
make sure you give us enough time to make it happen.
5 minutes, that's it.
And also this one, I just want to mention that using tools like Zoom or Google Meet or something else, Teams is a good thing for you to get a job these days. You don't have the ability, you don't have transportation or something, your employer will more than likely give you the ability to use. So these are all tools that's great to use. I use it every day at my job.
That is in fact how I do most of my job. All right, wonderful. So if there are no other questions about that, you have the applications. We'll fix the dates in the quorum, or not quorum, the required number. And we will resend that back out to everybody. We will go ahead and slap QR code on the front page where it's not going to take up extra space, just to make it a little bit easier for folks. And that should get us set there. So, real quick, we really don't have much time for elections. And it sounded like there was desire to move this to the next meeting. Okay.
I call for a motion to push our election discussion, nominations, vote, etc., until our next meeting in February. Can I get a second?
Second.
We haven't called for a vote yet. Can I get a second on the motion? Jennifer seconds the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
All against? Any abstaining? All right.
Thank you. All right. If anybody has any questions about this, I am happy to talk a little bit afterwards, just to make sure that y'all know what elections look like if you weren't here last year. Or if you were and want a reminder. All right. So we're a little behind, but do you wanna start a little review of maybe some of the stuff that's happened with it? Ooh, I wish I could make this bigger. I don't know how to make this bigger. That's the way to do it. Oh, that's a good idea. I like that, Jennifer. I see you, Jennifer. I see you. All right. Thought this was your baby.
I just want it done.
Okay. Okay. So, this is the, not the anti-camping, I've got anti-camping on the brain. This is the law enforcement interaction flyer, that we had worked on in the last meeting. This was an idea of Secretary Cat, and, she put a lot of work into trying to make this happen. So, as y'all know, because we went through it last time, or for anybody who wasn't here, what we've got going on is really just a little bit of a guide to help folks positively, or at the very least neutrally, interact with law enforcement, which is more and more and more important as time goes on for reasons we've already talked about. So what we have here is a quick review of the anti-camping law, which we talked about earlier, and we'll talk about that again. Different types of police interactions, some tips for interacting with law enforcement, some rights, and some resources. Okay, so that's what we have going on here. We have not shared this with the CoC board yet, because before we do that, we will want to finalize it here within this committee. And then once we finalize this here within this committee, it will be taken to the larger CoC board of directors for review and approval. What that will look like is Gary and Mike, our co-chairs who are also board members, presenting this on the committee's behalf. I'll be at the meeting as well to help out. But Gary and Mike will present this on the committee's behalf, unless there's anybody who wants to join them and help present this with them. If you would like to join, you're more than welcome to. So that's the process for this. The board of directors may approve it automatically, but be prepared, they also might have some notes. I can tell you, I clicked through some things that I thought were good, but like we talked about today, you can look at something 10 times and somebody else looks at it and they see something, so there you go.
How many times did we send the charter back?
How many times did we send the charter back? Yeah, we did get that charter approved that way. So that's gonna be the process for this project here. And then the idea of this is that it is distributed to our neighbors without homes to try and make those interactions a little bit more positive.
Well, the goal with this brochure was to let people know that not only do they have rights, but there are times when you want to interact with police. There are times that police need to interact with people on the streets. They need help, they need information, they might need you to know something's going on. Not every encounter with a police officer is a bad thing, and they want you to know that, and they want you to know the difference. I know a lot of people are apprehensive about law enforcement when they're approached, especially here in Pinellas Park. It's just not necessary, you know. And I didn't want, with this public sleeping ban, I didn't want people to automatically panic because an officer is approaching them to speak with them. That's how misunderstandings happen. That's how people get arrested that didn't have to. They're not out here trying to put us in jail for being homeless. They're just trying to do their job and do what they can do and interact with us to get some kind of rapport. But the more we know our rights and the more we understand about what their goals are, the easier it is for us to survive. And we can only do that with knowledge.
You did so much better than I did. She wouldn't take the microphone from me at first. Thank you, Kat.
Thank you.
Kat.
Can you guys hear me? On this flyer, we have QR code.
Yes.
If you look on that wall, it says item 2A, lodging or residing overnight in a motor vehicle that is registered, insured, located in a place where it can be may lawfully be. I think that's the solution, you know, get a job, get a car, sleep in your car, or van, better van. Okay? So I'd like to see what.
It matters for her.
Yes. That's.
It matters if you can take a shower every day too, and have. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful, I'm just saying, sometimes you gotta go a day or so without a shower. People like to go to work showered and fresh, not dirty.
It's not always
Oh, there are gyms,
And it's
right?
not always doable
You
though,
go to a gym.
but you gotta have money to join the gym.
I always said get a job. In order to get a
Again,
job,
we're back to the shower.
That hinders your ability to be employed.
Correct.
I know, but what I'm saying is, it's a catch 22.
Exactly.
Exactly, you said it, catch
It's
We're all,
22.
see, we're all caught in that catch 22,
No,
Tyler.
Well, I've gotten 3 jobs in the last 2 years.
And that's
Both of them
wonderful,
paid really
that's
well.
for you
Now I'm
though.
employed again
But
now.
other people have other reasons. Everyone has a different reason
I'm not
why
saying-
or another.
No, I hired people, homeless people, and tried to ask my friend, who said, how many people I've tried to help out? I spent well over $1,000, okay? They should buy them phones, doing this.
And I'm sure they're
No
appreciative.
skills, no ability to work, no interest, no motivation, nothing.
It's a matter
How
of.
can they get a job?
That's.
I'm gonna ask that all comments be a little empowering is the word I want to go with. No, I want to ask that everything we do here is meant to empower and be respectful. And this does not just go to this conversation here, it goes to some other things that I have witnessed today in this room and in this room on other days as well. So I think that I'm gonna have a little wrap up here where I ask everybody to be respectful. We had a whole meeting about conflict resolution a while back. And that means being respectful, understanding not everybody's story is the same, not making comments under our breath when other people start to speak. I'm gonna say that one again for everybody in the room. And I am not just talking about 1 or 2 people. I am talking about several people within the room. You know who you are, and I'm not gonna call you out. Except for generally here. We need to respect each other. And we need to do a really good job of understanding that everybody who comes to this room, maybe like Lieutenant H says, maybe we're not having our best day. Maybe we don't say our best thing in that moment. Maybe we don't act our best in that moment, whatever. But it's really, really important that we do our absolute utmost to be respectful and to understand that everybody comes here with good intentions, maybe not with the easiest history. And just because one person's history has been hard, guys, I'm gonna ask everybody, I'm having a really important, I think, conversation here, and I would really like the side conversations to stop because that's another part of the disrespect. Okay? Thank you. It is, give me a second. It is disrespectful when we have guest speakers in the room to be having side conversations. It is disrespectful when somebody is asking a question to be having side conversations. It is disrespectful to mutter under your breath just because somebody happens to open their mouth. And if we cannot move forward with respect, then we are going to need to have some serious conversations individually, okay? I am not here to be any sort of warden, but I am here to make sure that we conduct these meetings with respect and kindness. So can we all agree to that moving forward? Okay, can we all agree that we will do our best? And I know that sometimes we have slides and happens by slide, but can we all agree that we will do our best to not assume our story is somebody else's story? I'm looking for a yes from everyone.
Yes.
Thank you. Can we all do our best to agree that if we don't have something nice to say to or about another human, we're just not going to say it in this room?
Yes.
Again, looking for an agreement from everyone.
Because our mother taught us, yes.
Thank you. One of the first things that went in this committee's charter was that we follow the golden rule. And then, what's the golden rule? We treat others as we would want to be treated, right? But then that actually came back, and somebody up at the board said, what about the platinum rule? And I said, what is the platinum rule? And he said, it is treating others not as you want to be treated, but as they want to be treated. So first step is the golden rule. You treat people like you would want to be treated. Then we get a little bit more into our emotional awareness, and we start treating people as they want to be treated. Because not everybody wants to be treated the same way I do. That got codified in this committee's charter. The entire committee voted to approve that in this room, we respect each other and we follow the platinum rule. So we treat each other as they want to be treated. Now, please raise your hand if you like when people interrupt you while you're asking a question. Please raise your hand if you like when people mutter under their breath about you. Please raise your hand if you like when you feel judged.
I don't mind being.
Okay, well, there you go. But do you see how pretty much everybody agrees that that stuff all hurts? It doesn't feel nice? And I don't know about y'all, but it doesn't feel good to go to a room where you feel like you might walk in and start a fight with somebody. And I don't want that to be what happens here. Okay, so conflict resolution was not on the agenda for today, but I do feel as though it was a good addition because it's just something that we all need to be reminded of. And we all need to be reminded of this in all aspects. My husband and I have conversations about conflict resolution frequently. So please, everybody, be nice, be kind, be respectful. And if you can't do that, be quiet and don't say anything to those people. It's really easy. My mom always told me, if I don't have something nice to say, don't say anything. So that's what I try to do. Okay? All right. I'm sorry about stepping on a soapbox. I just felt like an important one to step on. Norm, you've been waiting to ask a question for a
Yeah, I
while.
had a question. As our secretary mentioned, there are different ways one can become involved with the police. Now, this on this page does not really make it clear, okay? One is consensual. Of course, when you call the police, right, yourself, for some reason, either to report something or something was taken from or whatever, that's one thing. There are another situation is when somebody else unknown to you calls the police on you. This is the very most dangerous situation. How do you handle, because you could incriminate yourself, the police will come and they'll play dumb. What's up? What's going on? You know, they confront you. How do you handle a situation like that? You could incriminate yourself depending on what you say. And they won't reveal to you who called them against you. They won't reveal the person.
Yes, that is accurate, yes.
Yeah. Okay, say it again. Okay.
No, you don't need to say it again. That's okay, we heard.
All right.
Yeah, so, yes, if somebody calls the police on you, the police are not gonna tell you who called the police on you. That's just a part of making sure that everybody stays safe, and maybe that actually doesn't make you safer as a human, but also a lot of the times in the other direction that does. So that is just what it is. That still falls into one of these categories here. Because it's either gonna be consensual and you say, yes, we can talk, or it's not gonna be consensual, and we're gonna start going into one of these two, where either it's an investigative stop or you're under arrest. So it's still gonna fall under one of those categories.
Can't you plead the fifth? And not say anything at all?
Yeah, is it,
Can you plead the fifth and not say anything at
all
all?
right?
You are welcome to
Yeah.
remain silent when talking to law enforcement. That is entirely your choice. For what it's worth, you can do whatever you want. You don't have to you don't have to give the police your name. You don't have to talk to police. But what we are trying to get at here with this pamphlet is how to make sure if you are interacting with police, it's as positive or as neutral as possible.
Oh, I give them my ID because I'm not gonna be put in the system
And
as
that's-
someone giving them a hard time.
And that's one of the things that I think that this talks about is IDs. It does talk about when you are expected to give IDs. But it's, yes, one of the ideas is that we're just trying to make sure folks are a little bit more prepared and a little bit less afraid and a little bit less likely to escalate things. Because I think we all know in any interaction between two people, everybody is capable of escalating situations and making situations worse. Whether it's me, whether it's you, whether it's my brother, it's usually my brother. But everybody's capable of making situations worse.
Or the opposite.
I was trying to use a non-law enforcement
I'm just
example, but
saying.
yes, that is
They
right.
used my dog against me once, so that's why I'm saying.
Everybody is capable of making situations worse. The idea of this pamphlet is just that folks who receive it are a little bit more prepared to help make sure that doesn't happen.
And that's appreciated very much.
Generally, if you're cooperative and the officers understand that you know your rights, things don't get out of hand. Things usually end peacefully, things are done properly, everybody parts friends. All you have to do is be cooperative, don't be rude. You know, legally, it's not even illegal not to have ID, so it's not illegal not to give them ID. But if you've done nothing wrong, why wouldn't you?
The first time Bubba got in trouble.
All right, so it is almost 7:10, y'all. We've had some robust discussion that I am really, really grateful for. I want to be super respectful of people's time though, so does everybody want to wrap up now or continue on wrap up now? Okay. That's what I thought.
I just wanted to find out if somehow between now and the next time we do the final, couple little questions I was thinking we should add, well, not questions, under the rights. Should we add, or should we put down, if we have the right to ask for a supervisor? So if we have a conflict with the officer there, you have the right to ask them to request a supervisor to be present. And then, the next thing I was thinking, since you're talking about recording there, to ask them if the officers are wearing a body cam and if they're recording. Yeah, that might help protect you as well, a little bit, and them, so that they know the conversation's recorded, you know you can record.
You allowed to ask them that?
I just think those two things would be useful.
My answer is that I'm not an attorney. I have no idea.
It seems to me like requesting a supervisor automatically is already going to escalate things. Been there, seen it, done it. Once you request a supervisor, especially for something that didn't have to be anything, you've turned it into something. You request a supervisor when things get out of hand. But to automatically request a supervisor, not recommended at all.
And we.
Okay, 1, 2, and then adjournment.
All right.
1, 2.
also believe legally the cops all have to wear body cams. To my knowledge, I could be wrong, so don't quote me on it. But if I remember correctly, I think that went into effect, I don't know when, but I believe that it possibly did because of all the information online about the cops beating up people. And I think that's why they have to start wearing them. So, but do your research, because I don't know for sure.
Also not an attorney.
Oh, yeah, and I'm definitely not.
I give that disclaimer all the time.
Yeah.
Don't want to take my information.
I think in relation, what it says here, it would be right to clarify exactly what you do and what you don't have to reveal to the police when you're confronted and they play dumb. Like, what's up, what's going on? Can you play just as dumb as they are? You tell me.
Yes, you can.
So the reason I totally understand why you would want that in this flyer. I completely understand. Let me preface with that. However, the reason that is not in this flyer is because we do not want to go into the realm of giving legal advice to this flyer. We cannot give legal advice to this flyer. We can give like hey, you have the right to like record, or here are your Miranda rights, where we want to make sure we're being really, really careful. And because I want everybody to continue thinking about this flyer, because it's not done yet. We haven't voted, so we continue thinking about it. But while you're thinking about it, remember that we need to stay away from actually giving legal advice here. Once we start giving legal advice, well, that's just not going to get published.
Right.
But if we are giving a how to have positive interactions with others, that is actionable, yeah. So I completely understand why you would like that to be a thing, and I 100% recommend going to the ACLU and things like that, and you can find some of that guidance there. It's just, we wouldn't be able to put that specific item in this flyer, if that makes sense. I do understand why, I really do. Thank you.
All right, we're almost finished. A couple comments. Anybody have any good news to share? Yes, we're running short of time, and oh.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, we got time. I know we're up for time. And I know we have a very good actually session time. And we're discussing here and the elections and the importance of getting the applications in, which I will agree when you meet in. Other than that, we do have another meeting next month. We want to make sure everybody's here, and make sure you're aware the cold night shelters are open tonight and I believe tomorrow night as well. Not tomorrow night, tonight at least, yes. Yeah. If you need it, yes, because it is going to be. And we want everybody to be safe. So that being said, and we wish everybody to be safe and hopefully come back again. And I will be closing the meeting. And at this point, we'll close and adjourn. And good luck and be safe and stay warm.
Jennifer, do you want to share your good news story?
Yeah.
I would love to hear it.
Last month's meeting, Nick Carey was here and he told me about, ordinance that they were trying to pass in Margot, to regulate outdoor social service events. And I would like to say that that ordinance did not pass. With me, Nick and Dylan from facing forward and showing up to speak up for it, it did not pass 4-3.
Else want to share some good news?
Dog got a new sweater.
Love it. He's adorable. Absolutely adorable. While we're all together, I want to let everybody know that last night and the night before, family cold night shelters had space. If you see or talk to unsheltered families, or just families that don't have heat, that need a safe place to go tonight, please make sure that they know that they can go to family cold night shelters, okay? That referral can come from street outreach, it can come from 211, or you can go ahead and text me or Megan, and me or Megan can refer them as well. So if you run into a family that just needs to get warm tonight, please make sure that they know family shelters did have space available both last night and the night before. And you are welcome to text me and I can help make that referral if space is available, okay? So everybody knows. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Victoria.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.